Hi, welcome to the LowCountry Sports Report. I'm your host, Carla Fruza, and this is going to be your stop for all Beaufort County sports. From local high school sports to USCB sports and even to Park and Recreation sports, we got you covered. I am joined by my co-host, Justin Jarrett from LowCoSports.com. Justin, tell us about yourself.
Well, a lot of County Channel viewers are probably familiar with me from my days hosting Sand Shark Bites when I used to be at USCB, but out on my own now, the owner of LowCoSports.com, and happy to be covering local sports again throughout Beaufort and Jasper counties, and excited to be doing this with you, keeping our viewers up to date with what's happening on the local sports scene. Absolutely.
So Justin will act as our LowCountry sports expert, so our high school sports expert. Then we'll also have Jody Vermillion on the show, which will be our USCB expert. And then we'll have from time to time Matt Watts on the show, which will tell us all about our Park and Recreation sports needs. But Justin, we had some big basketball playoffs and 2 state championship winning teams. Tell us about them.
2 so far. It was a great day for Hilton Head basketball. Hilton Head Christian Academy girls winning the state championship, and then following them up in Sumter, Hilton Head Prep boys coming out and winning the state championship. And I think the really neat thing there was I got a lot of comments and texts and stuff from folks talking about how excited those teams were to cheer each other on. Even though they're rivals on the court at Christian Academy and Prep, they the Christian Academy girls, after they won, went out and made a tunnel for the Hilton Head Prep boys to run out, and they took some photos together afterwards after cutting down the nets. So very cool. Christian Academy girls have been on a roll here. They've won 2 state championships in 5 years now with Kenny Conroy. And the Prep boys, it had been since 1991 since they won a state championship. But Jerry Faulkner, their legendary head coach, his first one with Prep, but he had won several up in the Charlotte area. So really great for those kids to get a couple state championships. And then we've got another local team going for one this weekend. Ridgeland Hardyville boys, they got there last year and lost in the state championship game. They're going to take another shot at it. And anybody who's been around this area a long time knows Jeremiah Faber has been a great coach there. Never won a championship, so we'd really like to see him get one under his belt.
It's really amazing, JJ, the level that these SCISA schools have right now in this area.
Yeah, and you know, we've seen that in the past with certain teams and certain sports. Years ago, you know, maybe 10 or 15 years ago, Hilton Head Christian, Hilton Head Prep were the premier football teams in SCISA. They've kind of fallen off a little bit. Thomas Hayward had a great this year in Beaufort Academy as well. But right now it's basketball. They are really strong in basketball. Hilton Head Prep girls were very good for so many years, won a bunch of championships with Bob Sulik. But right now it's the Prep boys and the Christian Academy girls. And then I think John Paul II is a team you really have to look out for. They are on the rise in both boys and girls. Beaufort Academy as well. Their girls made the semifinals this year, and their boys went to the second round. So yeah, we've got some great private school talent around here.
In addition to basketball, you've also been really busy with wrestling.
Yeah, wrestling is a sport that's near and dear to my heart. Actually started a wrestling club in Bluffton this year for youth wrestlers, but we were excited to see a couple of May River kids do really well at the state championships. Ryan Hummel, the first state champion in May River wrestling history. Rod Grant, who folks may know his half-brother Puna Ford's name. Great football player, also a state runner-up in wrestling. And James Levy from Hilton Head High, state runner-up as well. And then Beaufort High, they didn't have any state finalists at the state championship, but they had a bunch of guys get 3rd and 4th, ended up finishing 5th in the team standings. So a great showing for the local teams, and hopefully Beaufort Academy or Beaufort County starting to establish itself as one of the premier areas for wrestling in the state.
Absolutely. Before I really started covering local sports, I had no idea how popular and how big wrestling was. I fell in love with it. It is really cool to watch live. A lot of people enjoy it. What is your take on it?
Well, it's one of my favorite sports. I grew up with that sport in Kansas, started when I was 5 years old and wrestled up into my high school years. So always been one of my favorites. The wrestling here is pretty good. We're not on the level with the Greenville area or some of those areas up there yet, but that's kind of why I've gotten involved with the youth wrestling. There's a good program in Hilton Head, there's a good program in Beaufort, and there was nothing in Bluffton. So Battery Creek principal Chad Cox used to be the wrestling coach there. He and I got together and with Coach Powell over at May River, and we got a youth program going this January, the LowCountry Wrestling Club, and we're hoping maybe that can expand. And we've already got about 20 kids out there wrestling, and hopefully we can expand that much bigger, and we really see wrestling becoming a big sport here in Beaufort County.
Yeah, that's awesome. Let's hope it just grows and grows. But now let's get to your all-loco team that's coming out here pretty soon.
Yeah, so that's something that, when I used to work at the Island Pack and the Beaufort Gazette, we always did the all-area teams, and it's kind of fallen by the wayside, unfortunately with the newspapers, but I picked it up last year with football, basketball, and soccer, baseball, and softball. And this year I'm trying to expand it a little bit more and do it with more sports. Did the all-loco football team in the fall, and that was a big success. We had a little breakfast out at our bar in Bluffton, and the folks came out. We were able to honor the kids, which was really neat. And hopefully we can do something similar with basketball and wrestling. With the seasons wrapping up now, I'm going to start talking to the coaches and trying to compile those teams, which will be released, of course, on LowCoSports.com. And we'll have Players of the Year, Coaches of the Year, Wrestler of the Year, all that stuff. Just trying to line up the sponsorships and stuff to see if we can do maybe another banquet or breakfast or something to honor those players who had a great season. But it's one thing that I love doing to honor the kids who had the best years. It's also one of my hardest jobs to narrow down, to pick 5 first-team players in basketball is going to be very difficult when you have so many talented players in this area. But it's going to be great, and you can check out LowCoSports.com and keep an eye out for that.
That's great. That's something that we'll have to look forward to. But we're going to take a quick little break. But when we come back, we are going to be joined with Matt Watts. We're going to talk all about park and recreational sports. You're watching the LowCountry Sports Report.
World Series, there's a smash to right field. That ball is way back. Gone, Nico Lang. So Beaufort County, home run, shot over the right field.
And welcome back to the LowCountry Sports Report. I'm now joined by a very special guest, Beaufort County Parks and Recreation Deputy Director Matt Watts. What's going on, man?
Not much. Glad to be here. Appreciate you having me.
Oh, no problem at all. We got to get you on the show. But so what are some things coming up now for Parks and Recreation Sports?
Well, we have a lot going on right now. We're dead in the middle of spring sports season. Soccer, youth baseball, softball, they're all going on. We also have youth lacrosse. A lot of our youth sports are getting going. Our adult programs are getting started here pretty soon too. Adult softball, adult volleyball, things of that nature. So we got a lot of great things going on. A lot of grass growing too, cutting a lot of grass. But it's fun getting everything started.
Awesome. So I've heard you guys got some pretty big basketball tournaments coming up. Want to talk about them?
Yeah, this week we have actually a couple district tournaments hosting. We're hosting the 8U boys district tournament. We're also hosting the 12U boys district tournament at Buckwalter Recreation Center. We'll have roughly 14 teams here over Friday and Saturday. Going to be using 2 courts over there. So if anybody wants to come, it's going to be a great time out there. A lot of great all-star programs playing.
How are the competition levels at these types of tournaments? Will we see some pretty cool games?
Oh, absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of talent throughout the state at that level, and a lot of kids that you'll end up hearing on later in their high school and even collegiate careers that they'll go on to play, I'm sure, at a high level.
Absolutely. So registration is always a big thing. Are there any registration dates we should be aware of that's coming up?
Yeah, we're actually, adult volleyball, for instance, registration actually ends, the month of February is the only time we register for adult volleyball, so that's coming to an end. And we're also looking at starting a little youth sports lacrosse program for beginners. So that registration date hasn't begun yet, but we want to get that out there to make sure people know that's coming up along with adult softball.
Absolutely. So lastly, every year you always do some pretty big baseball and softball tournaments.
That's right.
And this year we got multiple.
Right. Yeah, we're looking forward to it. We're going to have a big July plan. We're hosting the 2019 Dixie Youth Ozone Baseball Tournament, state tournament, which will be, 11 and 12-year-old age group throughout the state, all the all-star programs that advance to that level. We're also hosting the following week, we're hosting 2 separate tournaments, the Dixie Junior Boys State Tournament and the Dixie Boys State Tournament, which is 13-year-olds will be the junior boys tournament, and 13 and 14-year-olds will be the Dixie Boys State tournament. So each week the O-Zone will have 16 teams here on July 12th through the 17th, and then the following week, July 19th through the 25th, we'll have close to 24 teams here.
Wow.
It'll be hosted at Oscar Frazier Park in Bluffton, so we're really looking forward to a lot of work to get playing before then, but we're definitely looking forward to it.
So needless to say, we're all going to be exhausted by the time these tournaments.
That's right. It won't only be 100 degrees. It'll also be 15-hour days. So,
Exactly.
But that's that's what we get paid to do. We'll enjoy it. I'm glad we're having you guys out there as always.
We'll be pretty sure we're covering almost every game. If not every game you guys are doing. Do you remember last year during one of these tournaments, me and you commentating until 1:30 in the morning?
Yeah, that was probably one of our high moments, I guess, of the tournament. I think that probably had the most hits of the week, basically because of me.
Oh,
and you.
yeah.
No, I'm just kidding. That was great, but it was a late
trying
night.
to stay up by the time it's the 5th inning and it's 1 a.m.
Yeah, it took a little.
This is great.
It took a little cat nap, 1 minute between innings and stuff. So that was good.
Absolutely. But Matt, thank you so much for joining. We're going to take a quick little break. When we come back, we're going to be doing some Sand Shark Bites. You're watching the LowCountry Sports Report. And now, welcome to Sand Shark Bites. So usually, JJ wouldn't be here. It would be Jody Vermilia, but he's feeling a little bit under the weather today, so JJ is going to take his place. But we have a lot of great news on Sand Shark Athletics. USCB just launched their spring sports season, and first off, baseball. Baseball season back underway. Struggled a little bit in the beginning, didn't do too well in their first conference matchups, but really some great performances on offensively. They got kids like Nick Del Bianco, Bobby Wenthy that have really put great starts to their seasons. They got a new pitcher in Eamon Collins who has just been absolutely terrific. And last weekend, they won their first conference series against Florida Memorial, so that was a big win down in Miami, winning 2 of the 3, and they got a lot more games coming up, so we'll see what can happen.
Yeah, Bobby Wenthy went yard again down in Miami, so on
He's
record
quite
watch
the
with
player.
him. Yeah, he can really hit. The pitching, as you mentioned, Eamon Collins has been pretty strong, but they're a little lacking in the pitching this year, I think, but they can hit. Tristan Triplett's been coming on strong this past weekend.
4
as
hits
well.
against St. Andrews.
Yeah, and he had a big tournament against, or a big weekend against Florida Memorial as well. So I think they're still kind of tinkering with the lineup, trying to figure out exactly what's going to work the best for them. And the good thing is they've got a lot of depth, at least at the positions. So hopefully they can get some things worked out. Schedule did them no favors, opening with Kaiser and number 1 Southeastern right off the bat. That's pretty rough.
It's bad when you have to play a team in Southeastern that is going to open up spring training and play the Detroit Tigers. Yeah, pretty tough one on the schedule.
Yeah, no doubt.
But in addition to baseball, USCB golf has started, and they picked up right where they left off. The girls' first tournament came in 2nd place, and the guys won their first tournament. JJ, that's a team that you covered a lot when you were with USCB. What do you think about them?
Yeah, I mean, it's no surprise, of course, being in the Hilton Head area that the golf programs are going to be good. Very easy to recruit to those programs, and I think they've got a couple really good coaches in there with Brittany DeBuell and Danny Allen. And the men, I was very impressed with the men. They went over to Savannah Harbor and beat a Division I field, and most impressively, they came from way behind in the final round to do that. So, they're fearless. Your countryman Bobby Dunphy is playing
Jacob
some
Thomas.
good golf. Jacob Thomas as well. They've done a good job of recruiting Canada.
They really, I love it.
There must be good word of mouth among Canadian
think
golfers
so.
that the word gets down. It all started with Brad Curran back in the day and Cole Need. So they've done a good job recruiting up north of the border. And I'm expecting a great season for them. Of course, they're without Newport Laparachkit this year. With him transferring out, that was a big loss. But they showed they're ready to pick up the pace and doing just fine. And the women, they had a little bit of a down year last year after that one crop of seniors graduated, but they're off and running again.
One thing I loved about both those teams is the team chemistry, JJ. They're all friends. They all hang out with each other all the time. And most importantly, they all have a winning mentality. They want to succeed, and they want to see others succeed. But now, in addition to golf, another team that's been red hot has been USCB softball. Currently 16-0. I mean, coming into the season, some people didn't really know what to expect. I've got a brand new coach in Bailey Wiggness, but she has came in and made an impact right away, JJ.
Yeah, and sometimes that team has gotten off to hot starts in the past that haven't always translated. Sometimes you play a schedule early in the season, you can't attract really good opponents, and I kind of thought that early. But then the past couple of weeks, they've played some tough competition with Truett McConnell and with Rio Grande and Reinhardt coming in. So they've been tested a little bit. They've got a lot of pitching depth. It's not just Abby Pack anymore.
From Maria Mollisau to Cannon Crosby.
Yeah, Sloan Ducey's pitched well.
Yes.
So Kinsey Swords even. They've got a lot of pitching, and that can really go a long way when you get into the conference season and you see these teams for 4 games in the regular season and then see them again in the conference tournament. If you've got a new arm you can throw at them that they haven't seen yet, it can make a huge difference. And Shania Dominguez is really hitting the ball. Kayla Boyle is a great player. This could be a pretty special season for them.
Absolutely, and I think one thing that is making it so special is Bailey Wiggness. I think she's doing a wonderful job. Rookie is a head coach, but I've heard parents have come up and talked to me, and they all say their kids love Bailey. Apparently, she's making a great effort to get to know all the players and helping each player. She wants to see her whole team succeed, and it is working out.
So far, so good.
Yeah.
Well, anytime you have a new coach like that, you wonder how they'll handle a little bit of adversity. And adversity will come their way eventually, and that'll be a new challenge for her. But absolutely, so far, she's passed every test, and they're playing great ball.
Absolutely. We'll see what happens when conference play starts and they play like the bigger teams like Southeastern and St. Thomas. But that's going to do it for this edition of Sandshark Bites. We're going to take a little break, but we're going to come right back to the LowCountry Sports Report. And welcome back to the LowCountry Sports Report. Now, Justin, let's get into the busy upcoming spring sports season.
Yeah, I'm already on sleep deprivation mode, I think, at Loco Sports, one-man show over there, and there's a lot going on. Trying to round up previews of all the teams. I haven't done the math, but I think there's about 80 high school teams competing in the spring.
You're not getting much sleep.
There's a lot going on. A lot of sports. Boys and girls soccer, boys and girls lacrosse, boys tennis and golf, baseball and softball, of course. So a very busy time, but a very exciting time. There's a lot to cover and a lot of exciting teams to watch.
So which are some of the top teams we should all look out for?
Yeah, we could go through every sport. Boys soccer, you've got a couple defending state champs with Hilton Head Christian Academy and Beaufort Academy. Again, the SCISA team's really showing out in this area. May River boys had a great year last year, and I think they're poised for another one. Bluffton High School was great next year. They're moving up to 4A now, so we'll see how they compete there. On the girls soccer side, Hilton Head Prep's going to be very strong this year. Hilton Head High, defending state champ again, perennial state championship contender, very good. So that'll be exciting to watch as well. Lacrosse, it's kind of Hilton Head and May River, and both boys and girls. Those are kind of the top 2 teams. The girls just played each other the other night. May River won Hilton Head, won 10-8. So that's going to be a good rivalry throughout the season. Tennis and golf, everybody's usually good in this area in tennis and golf, especially the Hilton Head schools in tennis. Yeah. Hilton Head High, Hilton Head Prep, very strong. In golf, Hilton Head Prep and Hilton Head Christian went toe-to-toe for the SCISA championship last year, and I think they will again this year. So lots of talent there. Baseball-wise, May River looks very strong, starting the season in the top 10. They've built a great program there with Keith Stewart. Hilton Head Christian played for a state championship last year in SCISA.
As you mentioned, JJ, lots of big-time golf talent in this area, and one of which plays for Clemson University and Bryson Nimmer, and he is absolutely destroying the collegiate golf game right now.
Yeah, he's been on fire. He's been one of the better collegiate players in the country really for a couple years now, but did not have a win until this fall, and then he won back-to-back events and then went out and was co-medalist. They actually had to cut it a little bit short because of flight plans at the Puerto Rico Classic, and then stayed in Puerto Rico actually and made his PGA Tour debut last week. Just a great opportunity for him already over there to play in that event. It was an opposite field event with the WGC Mexico, so great opportunity for him, and he played very well. Bookended his tournament with 69s in the first round and the final round, made the cut, finished I think tied for 47th. So he was a little disappointed in that finish.
Right.
He had that one rough round in the middle where he shot 75, but hey, to go out and shoot sub 70 twice in a PGA Tour event, your first PGA Tour event, pretty impressive. And then this week he's playing in the McKenzie Tour, the Canada Tour, qualifying the Q School this week.
Nice.
So he and Will Miles, who plays at South Carolina, who's from Hilton Head as well, they're both playing in Q School and trying to get their cards so they can go play professionally in Canada next season.
I think it's pretty safe to say that we'll see him in the pros for a lot of years to come.
I don't think that will be Bryson's last PGA Tour
No.
event. He acquitted himself very well, and I think he'll be out there full time in a few years. But it's tough these days. There's so many great golfers trying to play professionally, and it can be tough to work your way up through the tours to the PGA. But I think he'll get there. He's definitely got the game.
Now, before we wrap up here, let's preview another big-time golf event, everyone's favorite golf tournament down here, the 51st annual RBC Heritage. Dustin Johnson and a bunch of other locals coming back this year, JJ.
Yeah, it was great to get out to Media Day and talk to everybody. Kind of a low-key Media Day, not a lot of breaking news or anything, but it's kind of a good sign. That means the tournament's on steady footing and everything's looking good. Just keeping the ship on track. And as you mentioned, Dustin Johnson, they haven't officially announced that yet, but Steve Wilmot mentioned it to us that he has committed. Of course, the defending champion Satoshi Kodaira will be back. Some of the others.
Graham McDowell.
Yeah, Graham
Matt
McDowell
Kuchar.
trying to get in. Matt Kuchar.
Xander Schauffele.
Xander Schauffele, top 10 player, has already committed. So they've got some good names coming in, and I'm sure we'll be hearing about more as the next couple of weeks roll around.
Absolutely. We'll keep you guys all updated on all local sports from high school to Park and Recreation and USCB. But until next time, I'm Carl Prusa. That's Justin Jarrett. See you next time on LowCountry Sports Report.
Hey, I'm Josh Reddick, World Series champ, and you're watching the County Channel.
This is Larry Rowland. This is a Beaufort County moment. One of the pillars of the 20th century economy of Beaufort County has been the Marine Corps Recruit Depot on Parris Island. Officially opened in 1915, 70% of the Marines who served so heroically in the trenches in World War I were trained on Parris Island. The Marine Corps Recruit Depot on Parris Island is the first exclusively United States Marine Corps installation in the United States. It is, as Eugene Alvarez's book on the subject says, it is the cradle of the United States Marine Corps. During World War II, 241,000 Marines were trained on Parris Island and went off to fight wars, mostly in the Pacific. That's 10 times the population of Beaufort County during World War II. And so Parris Island became a very famous place and, of course, the principal engine of Beaufort County economy in the 1930s, 40s, and 50s. But in 1956, a tragedy occurred on Parris Island which sullied the reputation of Parris Island and of the United States Marine Corps. It was called the Ribbon Creek Incident. One of the old Corps drill instructors, Sergeant McEwen, decided that he would take his company of recruits out for a night march as a form of toughening them up and perhaps as a form of punishment. He marched them into the marshes that border Parris Island, and he marched them into the marshes of Ribbon Creek. Neither he nor his recruits understood that many of the creeks on an outgoing tide can be very fast running and very deep. As the men tried to wade the creek with heavy packs on their back, many of them got caught in the current. Several of them struggled and died. This made the newspapers with lurid photographs that found the cover of Life magazine at the time. The Marine Corps was embarrassed. Sergeant McEwen was court-martialed, and the Marine Corps had to change the form of its tough World War II training on Parris Island. But the Ribbon Creek incident brought Beaufort County and Marine Corps Recruit Depot bad publicity for the first time since 1915. This is Larry Rowland. This has been a Beaufort County moment.
To see more Beaufort County moments, go to the Beaufort County Library homepage and click on the Local History tab.
Today's the 6th annual, Derby. We run this every year. It's probably one of our most exciting events we do every year with the kid participation included. So I know the kids that do come out here and participate, they have a blast doing it. For me, in the county, I know it's huge because it's the first time we get to do it with the new stadium complete. So that's a big accomplishment, a big step forward for this complex. What Clarence Morgan really does and his staff to really make this day run, as well as my foundation staff. They do a great job.
It's our first time today actually hosting an event in the Josh Reddick Stadium, so that's pretty cool for us. And like I said, this is one of the events that Josh started, so I think that makes it a little bit more personal for us too, and for him to come out here and interact with the youth and the baseball side of things. I think it's something super cool for the kids to actually get to do with him. So that's awesome for us.
This stems back to the very first one I started out in Rincon. I didn't even have a foundation run. I think it was just me and a buddy of mine that was helping out at the time. So we went to the city of Rincon and approached it. We made it happen. It wasn't a big success yet, but that's how things are with your first time. But it was something I always wanted to do, I believe, and I think this was always the first step to the first event to giving back to this county, and here we are, and it's one of our bigger ones.
All the money stays local for sure. 100% all goes back into the hometown that Josh and I were raised in. So I mean, it's super cool for both of us to be able to have a hand in something so special like that too. So.
Right now, we don't really have a set destination for it. Our big thing is we don't plan on one thing. We dish it out wherever it's needed. We sponsor the Navigator team, we sponsor the Faith Equestrian team, we've sponsored the Truland House. Those are our three big hitters, I think. But we stretch it out to schools, we stretch it out fire department, police department, animal shelters, anywhere that needs help, they can contact us, and we're willing to take your phone call.
Anybody that I think if you have the chance or have the time to give back, I think you should. So, and the platform that we have created and have, I think it's awesome for us to be able to do what we do.
I think when you give back to where you came from, this is where it all started. This is your roots, and this is what made you. This is how everything started for you. And these kids are our future. They're our next generation of running this planet, and that stems from right here in your hometown. We got to start somewhere small, and anytime you can help these kids out, whether it be 1 to 10 kids, and if they come out of it in a positive manner, then you feel pretty accomplished about it. So that's the main reason. Anything about that, and we see some of the older generation, people my age and older, coming out here and doing that as well. So it's for everybody, and we definitely get participants that we enjoy having. Hey all, thanks for coming to my 6th annual 2018 Home Run Derby. We appreciate your support.